there and
Yeah.
I said, I think this covers really our stance in this. And the guys at PSA, I read some of their stuff that they put out there, and I think they did a great job of it too. Theirs was a little bit longer than mine, but I just it's a tough spot to have a grading company in, because what we do is we render an opinion,
Right.
and there are times that we make a mistake, and there are times that we miss some things. But man, I wish you could see some of these crazy things our guys catch, and I wish you could see how many things we that don't get in the slab. And there are times that, man, there are some guys out there that will do everything they can to trick you. And if a card measures up and everything, we have to roll. We have no idea if a black patch has been switched to another one. If it doesn't look that same way with us, we can't look every card up. And because we talk about I think we talked about it in January, the backlog that we have now, and the PSA had at the time was like, man, if you want us to look up every card,
Right.
you're never going to get your cards back. And it's sort of the thing where the guys have, most of our senior guys here have 15 plus years of experience just working with us, and they do the best that they can to catch some of these things. But unfortunately, you're not going to get everything.
Yeah.
You're not. And I wish that it wasn't absolute perfect science and everybody was busted. But I think that there's proof out there that, hey, we might have graded a card that the autograph had been wiped down a little bit, or a card is trimmed a little bit, and things like that. With the 10 million plus cards that we've got in the a couple hundred that are out there, that's pretty good percentages. And I'm not saying that it's
Perfect.
that we don't want to be 100%, but man, it's a tough industry, and it's tough to catch everything. But I think PSA, I think SGC do the absolute best that they can do to catch stuff.
No, that's good. I mean, so what would you say? And this is a question from one of our Patreon members. He was curious.
Sure.
What, in response to all of this, what new best practices have you guys kind of implemented to start detecting some of these cards earlier, or
great question. And it's something that when I talked to Steve at PSA, they're doing some things in this, and I've talked to some other people like this could be a perfect time that you sort of purge the industry, and you get rid of some practices that are out there, and get rid of some known people in the industry that are trying to deceive others. So we've started to do that. There's some where if we get a certain amount, an order that looks a little bit odd and things like that, then it's flagged, and the customer is going to be notified and saying, hey, if you're buying this from somebody, be careful. There's quite a bit of a higher percentage of cards that we're not going to be able to grade. We're starting to implement a system in our software where we're trying to flag all the serial numbered cards that we're grading, just in case they come back through. So number 2 of 15 comes back through 2 years later, we're hoping to catch it and saying, okay, wait a second, we've seen this one before. Let's put a flag on that. The tough part on some of this stuff is, I'll use you now for an example. I have a card. I sell it to you. It's never been on the market. I get it from a pack. I sell it to you. You alter the card, and you change the patch out, or you wipe the signature down, or you do things like that. You send it to get graded. It grades up. Just say, we'll go perfect. It's a black label BGS 10. Well, I see this card on the market, and then I say, wait a second. I had this card originally. Here's the picture of it. Tyler has changed this and this about it. There's nothing on the market where we can find that card. It is something that was, I got the card originally. I sold it to you. It's never been on eBay or Amazon or check out my cards, anything like that. It's impossible for us to find that or what the card originally looked at like when it first came out there. Our guys have to do our best thing to catch it. And there's sometimes it's just not possible. I wish it was. It would be great. So we've implemented some of that, adding some serial number searches on that. What's nice is with sort of the communication with the grading companies, I think we're kind of at the point too. I'll speak on our side. I think we're open to being a little more transparent with people in the industry that are trying to deceive people. If we've got Joe customer that we're seeing this order from, and we say, we're not grading your stuff anymore, we reach out to the other guys and say, hey, be careful for Joe customer here, because there's a good chance that you get some of this stuff.
Right.
I'll tell you another thing that's really nice and exciting about this industry. The guys on the message boards that are doing this are doing an amazing job finding these pictures and going back and researching. I mean,
it's concerning, honestly, how much time they have.
Absolutely huge props to those guys, because I know it takes a lot of work, and I know that it's a good process. If they're not involved in their quote unquote normal jobs with research and investigation, they need to be. It's good. But it's something that even they've said it takes a lot of time to do this.
Yep.
And so it's really good that they police this industry on their own as well. If you put something out there was a recent situation where a guy put something out there in one of our cases and bragged about how he did this and this, and the guy got roasted. Like they took real pride in this industry, and they got really mad that somebody's doing this to a industry and a hobby that they love. That the customer said, "I apologize, please, I'll do whatever we can to get this out of there." So it's not just really us as a grading company doing some of this policing. The online world that's out there is doing a great job with it, of bringing things to light and helping clean up the industry, and then telling some of these people that we're not going to accept this type stuff in the industry.
Yep.
The market's too good. This was originally created for people to enjoy and not just be a money grab, things like that. And I think that's kind of the things that in the industry that are going to police that. I think it's time. I think it's time to go in there and get rid of some of these people and these practices that are out there. But the goal is to stay ahead of what's coming next. What's going to be there. Some guys at the industry summit talked about how cards are being counterfeited, like in China, cards are being counterfeited that look almost identical to what's now, and how you're going to catch that. And I said, it's tough to catch some of these guys that are counterfeiting U.S. currency. Like, how are we supposed to stop a guy that is trying to reprint a subset from 1993 with a Jordan on it? It's like, man, it's hard. It's hard for everybody. So we do the best we can, and I truly think that any of the three major grading companies do the absolute best they can to catch any and everything, because it does us no good to let this stuff through. There's no insiders that are trying to get stuff through for people. We're in this for the long haul. This is not an immediate grab and run for us.
That's good. No, I appreciate you being transparent on it. I know there's a lot you still can't talk about, but I get it. Like this is not a perfect industry, and then there's not unlimited resources to throw at it. So 2 follow-ups real quick on the trimming, and then we can shift topics a little bit.
Sure.
I'm curious to know what is Topps and Panini and maybe even Upper Deck and Leaf, what is their role in this, and how have they kind of worked with you guys to say, let's come together and figure out a solution to the problem? Because I think, there's obviously something we can do long-term, whether it's serial stamping cards, maybe invisibly, something where we can track things a little bit better.
Yeah.
What are they saying?
Yeah. We talked about that kind of internally, and I haven't had direct conversations with the manufacturers, but we talked about how just some basic things of a way that you could protect an autograph or a patch from being messed with. And those guys produce the cards and have to put them out there in a price-worthy thing. Do you put the patch into some sort of cage that cannot be removed, or the autograph is covered so it can't be wiped off, or do you create the card with an autograph surface that you can't wipe it off? If it wipes off, it's a void type thing. I don't know. That's not my area of specialty. But what we do with the company is when we get pieces. I had a conversation recently with Topps and a conversation with Panini not too long ago. We get cards in here that no one can identify here, and we say, should these even be out on the market? And we'll contact these companies and say, hey, should these be out here? How do you want us to handle this and this and that? So we're trying to help them there and sort of police that process. Vice versa is we have the manufacturer sending us cards and saying, take a look at these things. What do you think about this? How are they going to grade? How do they look? Is it easy to be tampered with? So I think based on what I'm seeing recently is even the manufacturers are reaching out and saying, what can we do to police that? I'll tell you the ideal, the perfect scenario, which is I also think is impossible, but it would be great, is every manufacturer, every card they produce, they take a picture of it, scan it, and it's out there on some massive platform where every card's to be seen. And so if I want to go look up card number 17 of 450 of an offensive lineman for the Tennessee Titans, I can go look that card up. Is that doable? I mean, maybe if you want to do it and store that stuff somewhere. But how many of those cards, we'll use that offensive lineman from Tennessee, is no one going to care about as soon as they open that pack?
Mm-hmm.
But what the example I use is then what happens to the rare case when you have a 7th round quarterback from Michigan drafted that is now possibly the best quarterback of all time?
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, that was a throwaway card. No one wanted that stuff. But now it's one of the cards that our authentication team has to watch out for because of the fake autographs and the trimming on that card and how it was originally produced.
Right.
That's one of the anomalies. And unfortunately, the guy that I use as the other one is Taj Boyd from Clemson that comes out that is a nobody, not in the league anymore. And who cares about his images and his pictures? So the perfect scenario is a picture of everything, and it's easy for every grading company to look up. And there's no way that you can switch a patch or change an autograph or things like that because we have all the pictures. I just don't think it's possible.
Yeah.
I truly don't.
That's tough, man. Oh man, I love it. I think it's a great idea. Coming from the technology space, I think, man, the big data around that would be, and the data warehouse would be just insane. But
it would be insane. And
I
hope I don't. When the podcast comes out, I hope I don't get a call from Panini and Topps and Upper Deck said, "What in the heck are you running that mouthful like that?" I'm telling you right now, I'm not in your space, and I don't think it's possible. But I think that's what everybody kind of wants is this massive database where it can be looked up and done. And how do you pick which cards are going to be good? Is the Ryan Leaf collection that you do back in whatever year that was? What do you care about Ryan Leaf now?
Mm-hmm.
Who cares about that? It's one of those things. Is you're going to take a gamble on which one you're going to take pictures on and which ones you don't.
Yeah.
That 7th round quarterback from Michigan sure looks good right now.
No kidding. Ryan Leaf, was that 1993? I feel like that. It's crazy to think that was 25 years ago.
It's Peyton Manning's rookie. So yeah, it's 90.
Goodness.
93, 4, yeah.
I think of it as Drew Bledsoe's rookie year because that was my childhood collector idol. My last question on that was: Are you looking at maybe you already have this kind of like you said, an internal task force that does maybe you look at some of those guys that are really good at identifying these issues and bringing them internal, maybe hiring them to do some of your investigation for you. Have you thought about that?
Yeah, we haven't. And with as much business is still in here, internally we've got guys that have already taken that kind of upon themselves to say, I want to start keeping a database of some of these things. I want to start tracking some of these pieces. Mm-hmm. And it's things that our guys are now able to, wherever they are in the world, can pull up this database that we have of these cards and this information that we're getting there, and sort of say, hey, this is what we're seeing here. This is what we're being what's kind of popping up, which is nice. It's also nice, and is going back to the card manufacturers, is them being more involved with us, saying, hey, this card, Topps had a product that some of the cards were cut a little bit differently, and we were informed with them at the National, and said, hey, be on the watch for this. And the guy said, thank you for telling us, because all these cards have been kicked. The cut is wrong, the size is wrong, but it's now an industry standard, and this is supposed to be like that. So externally, we still have a lot of consultants around the country and the world that help us with things, and we're going to still use those. And when these things pop up, then we're keeping much better track of them than we did even when we talked in January. Like this is well before all this stuff started being brought up and stirred up. And so, it's necessary. I would be stunned if everybody in the industry that's involved with this didn't have an extra layer of security and a little bit more protocol in place. Sure.
That's fair. Let's take a quick break. For those that don't want to listen to trimming, they can skip to the second half and not have to worry about the trimming discussion.
Yeah.
All right, real quick break from the conversation. So here's the deal. I know there's so much data, so many different things floating around the hobby right now. Graded cards and raw cards and when should I buy and all these new rookies trending. And so everything we've done at Breaker Culture is meant to help you get a little bit more of an edge by breaking down some of that craziness into very simple charts and analytics. That's what we've done for the last 4 years. And I really hope you've gotten some sort of benefit out of all these different things that we've put out. So we started our Patreon page last month. And the Patreon page is really just a way for you to buy into different levels of membership for Breaker Culture. And those levels of membership will get you different access just to additional levels and exclusive levels of insight. We want to keep pushing out more insight, but the reality is it just costs money to do all this. And it's taken a lot of time. And so I'm pushing a lot more content over there to that exclusive community. So thank you all that have joined in the first month. And my thought is this: if I can save you $5, $15, $35, which I think I easily can do in a month from the way you buy a player or sell a player or look at a product, then it's well worth your investment. And it helps us out and continues to show us that, you know what, we should keep putting out these resources for you. So go to patreon.com/Breaker Culture, or just click the link right in the show notes that takes you right to the Patreon page for Breaker Culture. And you would be doing us a great service, and I think you'd be doing yourself a service by taking part in all the analytics that we're putting on our Patreon page. Back to the show. All right, we're back. So let's talk a little bit more about something we touched on in January, and I really got in tune with it because I love what BGS does in general. But your single grade, this was a big thing at the beginning of the year. You had a big push for it. Maybe just what's been the response from the market? Do you feel like it's been well received the way you were anticipating?
Yeah, and I'm glad to say it has been.
Cool.
It's been a very nice new service that we've offered, and we really started promoting it, like you said, first part of the year, and really started to get involved with that. Leaf was doing some of it. Panini's done some of that with their products, and some of the customers that we thought that it would be perfect for have now been turned on to it and saying, you know what, BGS is still, and I've said this, one of the crazy companies that offer a guaranteed turnaround service on their product. And in this market, it's still a crazy thing to think about. But when you can get your cards back in a guaranteed amount of time, which you know you're going to get, is good. You want to sell this stuff, you want to get it out there. And the single grade option has been really taken on well in the industry. And it's grown substantially since we spoke in January. Yeah. The national was we picked up some really big customers because we could say, hey, save yourself a couple of bucks. Get your stuff back in a guaranteed amount of time. And if you get a 10, you're going to get subgrades on it. So if that's what you're shooting for, go for it. Go for it there. And that's what it's done. And I think in that, I don't really dig into the market as much as our pricing guys do, but when our quarterly meetings, they can say, hey, these prices are starting to gain a little bit of steam. And the market's starting to learn more about this single grade thing. And the grading is the exact same. And it's starting to get a little bit of momentum. And the good part about that is we've had our backlog that we've had in here for our non-guaranteed service. A lot of the guys have switched to that and are taking us up on that service and getting the cards out on the market and making some money and then sitting more cards in and buying more product. It helps everybody. So yeah, I've been thrilled with the results of that. And I hope that the collectors and secondary market are picking that up as well and saying, hey, this is a quality product.
Yeah, no, I've been a big advocate, and I haven't really had a chance to tell you, right? I've submitted some my own throughout the year and just kind of testing things out just so I could tell my audience. And I've been really impressed, right? And the big selling point to me is, look, you're going to get your 10 subgrades. That's the key to me, right? You're going to get your 10 subgrades. And that I would say all the analytics we've run with all these different cards we've graded, maybe a few percentage points between a BGS 9.5 single grade and the BGS 9.5 traditional grade, which is crazy to me. It's awesome to see.
And I've told people, this is not for every card. Your 86, 87 Fleer, probably not. Like that's probably not what this is for, because subgrades carry a lot of weight there. If you've got a Jordan with a 10 subgrade, that's going to be a premium. So this may not be for that, but man, with these prospects and from in baseball
Yep.
and some long shots in the football rookie class and things like that. This is a perfect service for that to save a few dollars. If you're saving a few dollars on your grading fees, just if you're doing 100 cards and you're saving $300, $400, $500 on your stuff, then it's going to make up for it when these cards sell for maybe a little bit less. It's going to be worth it. The percentages are still there, just like you said. If it's me, and I'm a very biased person in this, there's no way I'm not using this service from Beckett. No way I'm not using it if I have that top product.
Yep, I don't disagree. I think it's,
Yeah.
What are you saying with turnaround times there on the single grade? Are you're consistent with where you were a year ago? You offering the same turnaround frames?
Yeah, we have it now where you can get guaranteed turnaround time 2, 5, 10, and 30-day guaranteed turnaround time on your no subgrade service. So if you've got stuff and you say I've got to have it back before basketball starts, in a week or two, we've got you covered in that. We've got the ability to knock that stuff out, and I think that's what's been really good. When something really hot pops up and you've got a handful of them and you need to go quick, it's a perfect service to throw that in. And if you've got baseball prospects for next year and you say put them in line for that non-guaranteed service.
Yep.
And I realize that it's going to be 6 to 8 months. That's perfect for next basketball season. Save yourself even more money and go that route. And our goal is by the end of this year, and just a couple months away, is to be at our non-guaranteed at about 8 months. That's our goal. Ideal sweet spot for that is 4 to 6 months on that non-guaranteed. Which if we can get to that and get some of that service rolling out, that's going to be huge for the market as well to get that out there. So it's kind of a menu of what we can do for you. We can do subgrades if you want that. We've got guaranteed turnaround. We've got single grade. We've got subgrades. It's the size cases, whatever you want there. It's one of those things. If we can't offer you something that you want, then maybe we need to reconsider something else, because I think we do a pretty good job of a wide range of stuff.
Agreed. Yeah. So another question kind of along those lines from someone from our group. What have you kind of put more emphasis on as you've tried to improve your turnaround time, staffing or improving the process? Which of those two have you emphasized more?
Yeah, and we may have talked about that in January. I think we did is hiring graders on here.
Yep.
And it has been a real blessing this year that we've brought on 3 junior graders that we brought on here. And what's nice about this is 2 of the guys that we brought on here have hobby experience and have worked in the grading industry with us years ago, with the competition. Or has been involved with the industry. And it is not local guys. That is guys that we've found throughout the country and that we've brought them in here.
Nice.
And the strides that they've made over a year, and it is so nice finding people that understand the hobby and understand what they're going to be doing in this job to plug away at it. So since we talked last time, we've got 3 new guys that are brought on here that have just done really, really well for us. And so that's it, the staffing.
That's awesome.
And then we talked about it before too, and then what the first this conversation was with the single grade option.
Yep.
You can go through these cards much faster when you're not breaking them down. You're looking at an overall grade and say, that's a 9.5 because of this and this and this. You can move much quicker. So as people are using that service, more cards are getting out on the market. So it's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of the process. It's a little bit of what we're offering, and it is being in a good spot right now with adding some staff in here that is doing really well. And we talked about it before.
Yep.
It's not something where you hire somebody one day and the next day, congratulations, you're a senior grader, head to Chicago and you're going to work a show. I wish it was that easy. I tell people all along, if there was a lineup of graders here, we'll hire you. Let's go. But it's a tough gig, and that's it. So a little bit of the procedure, and a lot to do with added staff on here.
Cool. How many graders does that give you now? What are you at?
Let me think. We are at 15-ish full-time graders now. I'm trying to think in my head as I'm sitting here, but that's probably a pretty good number there, and a couple more in the wings if we need to. So we're always looking. I mean, like, again, if you're listening to this podcast and you think you can be a grader, or you've got somebody that can do that, please send us the information, because we would love to bring on more people.
You know good and well, everyone that criticizes the grades would rather sit at home in their chair, armchair quarterback style.
I know. I know, and that's great for them. That is,
right.
What I tell people is like, it is with the guys that are in this industry, in this market, and that are dealers that would be perfect for this are doing really well on the other side of the table, and so it's there. But when you get in here and again, these people that know how everything works internally and things like that, and how we should be doing stuff and do that, please apply. Come on down here and check this thing out, and let's go. Let's see how it is. And I think it'd be pretty eye opening. Somebody says, okay, that's not really how you do that, or
right.
That's how you do that, or things like that. Perfect.
Absolutely. All right, so let's dive a little bit more into the analytical side of things. And I understand you're not going to have all these analytics in front, but I'm thinking about it from my perspective. What would be really intriguing to me? I'd be curious to know, do you guys quickly calculate the percentage of black labels you get out of all your cards graded?
Yeah, great question. And I said this, and I think I talked to another dealer about this. What's good about this is a lot of our card graders have no idea the value of these cards or what they're doing. And when you sort of have you're sort of callous to your job and you're doing the same thing over and over again, you really just want to get your job done and get out of here, and you're working on stuff in the progress. So they don't really keep track of that. We could pull the numbers that are there, and we could see what's there. But I think with that, you have to look at the product that.
No, we got to get that
black label.
EBW
the brand new
from
stuff
the filler
that's coming out is produced well. Guys know what to look for, and so you're going to have much more of that than you're going to have even stuff from 3-5 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's tough. So I think getting the numbers of how many black labels out there, yes, we could do it. But I think if you want a true identifier and you go out there and you want to see exactly what the percentage is out there, is I think you've got to break it down per year and when the stuff was produced and how it was there. Because I promise you, the amount of black labels on 89 Upper Deck is going to be much less than 2019 Bowman Chrome type stuff. So yeah, we can have it. It's something that it's not a public type thing, but if it ever needs to be out there, it's there.
Yeah.
That kind of goes back to what we talked about in the first session is the conspiracy theorists about how these people are getting certain grades and things like that. Man, the guys that are in this industry that are getting these grades know what to look for, and they're searching for cards, and they're not submitting junk cards anymore. When grading first started, if you had a card that had any value, you return it in. You're mad because it came directly from a pack and it wasn't a perfect 10. And these guys now are spending hours upon hours just sorting through cards and going to shows and really putting some effort into to get to some of these grades. So
yeah.
Well,
it's funny you mentioned that.
It's a tough question.
Yeah, that for sure. I get it, and it's funny because you mentioned just the maturity of the buyer now, right? They know what to look for when they're buying, and I think there's a lot on the flip side of that, right? You got a lot of complaints now from just the seller community on eBay, for instance, right? You're getting all these returns and chargebacks because the surface wasn't clean enough, or the corner, the centering wasn't perfect. That's the type of complaints you're getting. It's like, man, these people are getting smarter.
You're definitely getting smarter, and I think it's one of the reasons why grading continues to be so important to this, because it's not the wild west like it was years ago, and you're grading and selling stuff, and people want cards that they know that have been looked at and look good, and there's money there to be had, even if not now, but in the future. These guys that are banking on these Wander Franco type people that are 18-year-old kids and single A baseball, they want to know that they're getting the right thing. So it's the hobby's definitely the industry, the collectors and the buyers and sellers are definitely smarter. Some are a little bit more careful than others, but that's what we kind of have to expect.
For sure. What sport would you say is graded the most? Is it baseball?
It's baseball, yeah. But baseball's far and above the most graded, especially when the baseball season starts. Just the prospects that are out there, but it's amazing, and it's kind of a hot topic right now with what's going on in China and the NBA. But the international market in the NBA collectible market is still continues to grow and grow and grow.
The
It is
half
something
case.
that we're really
There's
excited about
spots
as
in
we
that
look
in the
just more
EBW mixer.
international growth and do more
EBW filler.
international events with some of the other
I don't know
partners
if you
in the
saw
industry.
EBWs yet.
It's exciting
Everybody
to see
wins
that.
stands
So
for if you buy a
baseball's
spot in that filler.
way out there.
We'll run the randomizer. You could
It's
get a
pretty
spot
surprising.
in
The hockey class this year that's going to be introduced.
Star Wars, or
the
you could get a
rookies.
spot in the
in November
case break.
up in Toronto when the Expo is going on there. Hockey class this year is phenomenal. So I expect a huge jump in hockey products this year. Zion Williams is going to, if he comes out as in plays like everybody's hoping he is, that's going to be huge for everybody. But the basic simple answer is baseball is still the king. But man, there's depending on the season, there's guys the industry that'll jump in there.
Would you say basketball's number 2?
Yeah, I think so. I think you could fight about that if football's there, but I think it's basketball just for the international market that's out there. The amount of money that's being spent on that type product, I think it's there. You could definitely have people battle you with football, but I think it's right now. If you're in the middle of football season and your fantasy team's doing this, and Patrick Mahomes getting hurt last night, what's that going to do? That type of stuff.
Right.
It's kind of a day-to-day thing.
For sure. I never really thought about this, but do you have another facility outside the U.S., and do you grade in other languages? Like, would you consider that?
We don't have another actual facility where we grade outside of this building.
Okay.
We do shows and events all around. The only time that we're currently full slabbing is at the National each year. But 2.5 years ago, we went to China for our first event there. We did raw card review grading there, and we're looking at doing that again in some form next year. That's a possibility that we're kicking around. Canada, Toronto is a fantastic market, and it's one that we've done really well at in the last couple of years. So it's one that we'll continue to do. But an overall facility where we grade, it's only here in Dallas, but we have reps in California, in Chicago, and in South Korea. We have a rep there that works with our market over there to do stuff. But I mean, you look at not specifically facilities, but the amount of dealers and shops that are collecting stuff around the world. Cherry Collectibles in Australia is a big customer of ours that has a great online presence and has a great facility and does shows, and they were at the National this year. So it's maybe not specifically a facility, but there's a lot of Beckett hubs, we'll say, around it that you could get stuff turned into.
Love it. Very cool. If you were to pick right now, toughest product to grade in 2019, what would it be?
I'm going to tell you, I said I am lucky enough not to grade, so I don't know the answer to that question. People, it's amazing. How long have you graded? Thank goodness I have never graded. That's a great thing for the industry. So I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. So I can't help you with that one.
That's okay. No, I don't know what I would say either. I'd say maybe maybe like an Optic or a Heritage that are really inconsistent, but always curious. I'd love to know, like, if stats are ever kept and analytics are ever run behind the scenes from you guys. It doesn't sound like maybe to that level it is, but it'd be fascinating to know.
Yeah. We get all sorts of crazy reports. Something will pop up in our marketing discussions or things like that. So you know what? That's a really good question. Let's ask for that. It's amazing how quick the IT team can pull up some rare bit of information and say, okay, well, that's what we needed, and we move on to the next thing.
Yeah, for sure. So tell me about 2020. What are you most excited about in the hobby, and maybe specifically with BGS? Anything come to mind?
Yeah, like I talked about, I think the international possibilities are something that are really exciting. I think that the partnerships that we have within kind of our portfolio with
who pulled that?
A comic book grading division that we have
Who hit
now.
that?
We have a sister company called Arcade Tinman that's based out of Denmark that does gaming supplies, which is really big in the gaming industry. So it's nice to have the growth of gaming cards, and then Arcane Tinman to be there to sort of supplement some of their supplies there. So I think some of the cross promotions that we have with not just BAS with our authentication service, our comic book, or our supply company, some things that may be coming in there, sort of some co-ventures and some planning But then getting back to the international events and things that we're looking to do this year, I'm really excited about that. And again, trying to figure out if this market can continue to stay strong. And that's the thing that I think anybody that's involved with this is doing everything they can to make that happen.
Yeah, 100%. I think now you're entering that phase where you're thinking, okay, how can I protect myself a little bit against a potential pullback, right? I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
It's that, and then still, like we talked about before, is protecting your brand and protecting this industry,
right,
and doing everything you can to be on the up and up. And there's no way years and years ago that I could have imagined that competitors in this industry would be openly talking to each other to better the industry. And I think that we're at a point there that we're talking, hey, there's communication between the companies, and saying, hey, do this and check out for this, and hey, let's meet. Can you jump on a call and let's talk about this? Not just with the grading companies, but with the manufacturers. It's a great industry to be in, and it's something that we want to keep strong and successful for everyone involved.
Love it. No, that's a great way to wrap it up. I appreciate it. You ready for some quick rapid fire?
Yes,
if you do that, all we got to do is get that filler done, and we break it.
Up so much on my last ones that you fired at me.
You did. If you buy that triple teamer spot, then we have.
Yes, because
we'll fill that filler up tonight.
So, because my responses, some of them were terrible. So this is the one thing that I was really worried about coming into this, is what you were going to ask this time, and I've just got to be on my game.
All right. Well,
talking for as long as we've talked has done nothing. This is the part that I've been waiting for.
I love it. That's the way it should be. That's the way it should be. Forget the content and the actual meat.
Yeah, not the content. What are the questions Tyler going to ask me? And so I do not look like I think you called me last year, in January, a 13-year-old little girl. Some of the questions I was like, damn, he's right. Those are terrible.
Did I say that? That's terrible of me. I apologize.
I think so. Something like that. And listen, I can't argue with you.
I saw some other spots you were trying to buy today, but it didn't look like they were going through.
Okay. You got to pick a sports player to babysit your kids tonight. Which one you picking?
I'm taking Luka, local guy. Like, he would be fun.
Luka Doncic is going to babysit your kids tonight.
Be great.
He's the type of guy that's going to leave the oven on, I think, and is going to forget to change a diaper. You're going to have a rash to deal with.
That would be fine, I think. But I think my son would be thrilled that he could just dribble around with him, because he's 3 now and is really into that, and I think that would be fine. So if the oven's left on, it's probably on in our house anyway. So it's good. We're good. Luka, that's a no-brainer. And I would have said Dirk before, because I think that would be great, because Dirk's a guy that I would love to hang out with for just a little bit. I think he'd be great. So we're going to go with Luka now, though.
Love it. All right. Funniest movie you've ever seen?
Yes, it will.
I'm really into dry humor, and
I just go on in the daytime to get the feed out there. I don't really do a whole lot in the days
I love Caddyshack
anymore.
I think it's great, just some of the lines there. So
I don't do much in the days. I'm going to be starting to doing a lot of breaks in the days, but right now I'm just working, building breaks.
crazy. That's my son down there. That air supply ready. cutting tools on board? Air chisel? Yeah, we do. Okay. That's too dangerous. Nui, let's go.
Look, the compartment will flood.
Not if the air pocket holds until we're inside.
Mitch!
Where's your son down there? You do it your way, huh? Come on, Nui. Start rigging the flotation gear in case you need it. Good luck. Water's rising fast.
Mom? Mom? Mom, you gotta stay awake. Mom? Remember the time me, you, and Dad went to the Grand Canyon and we rode mules down and Dad fell off? And he dragged him all the way down?
And he said, you never take a vacation again. Away from water. I love you, Lily.
I love you too.
pulse. Soon CPR.
Ventilating.
Second analyze.
And clear. And clear.
Charging.
Check patient. Check patient.
Not shockable.
Check patient. Check patient.
No pulse. Continue CPR. Increase ventilation.
Mom, please.
Third analyze.
And clear. And clear. And clear. And clear.
She's shockable.
Press shot. Press shot.
Shocking. She's got a pulse.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Dad.
It's gonna be all right. Let's get it. Yeah. Thanks.
Bye. Take care, my love.
Yeah, well, CJ, thanks.
I'll see you later, okay?
Hey, you came through and accounted. Way to go.
Thanks. We're gonna move friends.
Me too. I'll talk to you later, okay?
All right. Can I go see Mom now?
Yeah, she's been asking for you.
Yeah, she was asking for you too.
What do you need?
Tell her. She called your name. Come on, let's go see her. Mom!
Oh, baby. Oh, honey. Careful, careful. Oh,
How you doing?
Mitch. Oh, you should have seen her down there. You would have been very proud of your son.
You should have seen Dad. He's the one that saved us.
Just part of a team.
My heroes. Mitch, I was very wrong about Hubby. His place is here with you. And can you ever forgive me?
On one condition. That you promise to spend more time out here with us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, what is this? Not worth the new and with the old?
God, you are right. So touch.
I love you.
Me too.
Hey! That's my bike. What are you doing?
No, it's not.
Yo, yo.
Stop doing that.
I paid for this motorcycle, not you. If you choose not to tell the friends of your parents, fine. But don't expect me to continue to support you here.
You know, until now, I didn't make a decision if I wanted to stay here or not. Thanks for making it such an easy choice.
What's wrong?
My father's repossessing my bike. It's his way of showing how much he loves me.
That's right. You think you're gonna be able to go to college and support yourself on a